Hi guys, want to talk to you guys about Bumblefoot real fast. At the end of the video, I'll have some screenshots with what to look for when you're looking for whether it's Bumblefoot or not. So Bumblefoot is a cut that has been infected with staph, and we have staph all over our bodies, like it's a naturally occurring thing. The problem is that when the external staph gets internalized, right? When you have a bird that has a cut and it gets staph in it, if the bird is healthy and it has a good immune system, it's going to encapsulate that staph infection and isolate it from the rest of the bird's body. The problem comes in when the staph is not encapsulated properly by the body, it's not contained, and it starts to affect other things like their joints and their bones. And then that's when you start to have real health concerns. And so something that people need to keep in mind is that when your bird is walking on ground that is not cushioned, they are going to have cuts on their feet. When they're walking around on hard ground and they're heavy, they're going to have calluses that look like scabs on their feet. That doesn't mean that you have to necessarily treat them. You treat them when there's a pain with the limp, because let's be real, if they have a bump on the bottom of their foot, their gait is going to be off because one foot is closer to the ground than the other, so they're going to limp. The difference is you should be able to tell if that limp is caused by pain or if it's just a limp because there's something stuck to the bottom of their foot. I mean, it's just like walking around with a rock in your shoe, right? Like, you're going to walk different. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's something bad. I think people tend to over-treat Bumble. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is that if it is not Bumblefoot and you soak that scab off and there's raw tissue underneath, open tissue underneath, you could infect them with staph. And so just be careful when you're treating, to get that scab off. If that tissue is still raw underneath, you could end up with more problems than you started with. And I like to do everything as minimally invasive and naturally for my animals as possible. And I will say in the 4 years that I've had ducks, I have treated Bumblefoot 0 times. Do my girls, some of them have scabs on the bottom of their feet? Absolutely yes. Do some of them have calluses? Absolutely yes. But you have to look for infection. Signs of infection are swelling, which they're going to have if they have a cut, redness, which is irritation, and that's more problematic than just having a cut with a scab on it. And then, of course, if there's any fluids leaking out of that when you pick them up, and then, of course, a painful limp. Not just a limp, because I have a couple of girls that have a limp. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're in pain. I have a limp. I walk with a limp, and I'm fine. I'm not fine, but I'm fine. And so we just need to be careful when we're thinking about treating Bumblefoot. And I think it's something that people tend to jump to, oh, it's Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot is a specific name for a staph-infected cut. Not every cut is Bumblefoot. And so make sure that you're doing your research. But I will also caveat that to say, if you feel like it's something that should be addressed, address it. Do the Epsom salt soaks, get the scab off. If a kernel does not come out and they just bleed, it is not staph. Cease and desist. Let them get their scab and heal naturally. Put some salve on it if you want, cover it if you want, but stop trying to draw out a kernel that isn't there because it hasn't developed staph and it's not encapsulated. So yeah, just chill out with the Bumblefoot stuff. And I get it. Some people are more protective of their birds than others. And I'll say that I have not lost a bird to Bumblefoot, to a staph infection, a systemic staph infection. It has not occurred. And so it's not as common as people are making it seem. So again, if you feel like you need to treat your bird, treat them. But if you find that what you're doing isn't working and it's taking a really long time for their scab to heal, for their cut to heal, that means it's not Bumble and you're just reopening the cut, causing your bird unnecessary strain and stress. I love you guys. Until next time.